She a Oklahoma sooner, Oklahoma sooner. She a Oklahoma sooner, Oklahoma sooner.
Welcome back, everybody, to the AnythingOU Podcast on the Chris and Drew Show. We really appreciate you for stopping by. Before we get into all the fun stuff, we want to mention our sponsor, Horns Down Shop. If you want to go support Deshaun White and grab any of your cool Deshaun White and Horns Down gear, like my co-host Drew is wearing, you can go do so at the link in the description below. As always, I'm your host, Christian Williams. I got my main man, my co-host, Drew England. Drew, what's up?
Hey, like I say all the time, it's a great day to be a Sooner. Excited about this episode, bringing it to the people.
Yeah, for sure. Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to welcome you, John Carter with the RUFNEKs. Welcome back, Sooner Nation. We have Mr. RUFNEK, John Carter. John, how you doing, man?
Hey, I'm better than I deserve, man. How are you?
Yeah, man, I'm good, man. It's great to have you on the show.
I appreciate it, man.
Oh, for sure. All right, so we're going to jump right into it, man. Kind of talk about, growing up in Central Texas. Why did you choose to go to the University of Oklahoma? And was that a destination growing up? Just kind of talk about that and how you ended up in Norman.
Yeah, man. So, I grew up in the 254, from a small country town, McGregor, Texas. Yeah, right. And so, growing up, man, it was always Baylor Bears, the Aggies, man. You have the Raiders, we're TCU, like any Texas team, And so once I got to high school, 10th grade, 11th grade, started, looking at college options. My mom was actually born in Norman, and my sister had plans of going there. So my whole family was, diehard Sooner fans. And I was a kid growing up to where any team that was playing OU, I was rooting for them, whether it was Texas, any Big 12 school that was going to be something like, yeah, I'm that this week, So, right after graduation, I decided to go to MCC, which is, McLennan Community College. I wanted another year to possibly play college baseball. I wanted to go there, get my basics done and possibly transfer out to a D3, maybe D2, and, do my whole baseball thing there. But, obviously that became a thing that I just could not do, So I started applying. I applied to Tech. I applied to Stephenville, which is that. I applied to TCU. I applied to any school, but normally I just didn't have it, on the list of things I wanted to do, But during my year at MCC, my sister Lexi, she was actually able to transfer from MCC to OU, and she was living out there. I remember going on a couple visits out there, just to see her and just to see what the campus is about. And really and truly, after that first visit, this could possibly be home, but I want to keep my options open, And so I looked at the financial side of it, and really and truly, OU was honestly probably going to be the cheapest option at a D1 that I can go to, simply because my Native American tribe, they're from Oklahoma, and so they gave out a huge amount of scholarships and grants, and plus my grades were decent at MCC, so I was like, you know what, let's give it a shot, man. I'm getting away from home, but I'm not too far to where I can't come back down and see my buddies, So I landed up here at OU.
Yeah, for sure, man. I was kind of in the same boat growing up. Sooner Nation, just to kind of put a little backstory, I grew up about 15 minutes away from where John grew up and went to high school. So it's kind of how we got this whole thing started and how it all kind of brewed. But I grew up in the same boat. I was that one kid, the only OU fan in my high school. And anytime we played any Texas, in-state Texas team, I got drilled if we lost. But if we won, and we usually did, man, the shit talk and everything, it was great. So,
I remember at NBC, they had a day to where it was more like a celebration of kids, going the next step up the ladder, and I had made my commitment to OU. I was proud of myself, but I don't want to make it known because the rest of my class was Baylor, TCU, A&M, it was any other school but OU, and I had this other kid that was also going to OU, so he went first, and as soon as they announced his name and the fact that he's going to OU, he screamed Boomer Sooner, and he looked at me to finish. I was like, hey, cut it off, we ain't doing that here, man. Okay, I ain't gonna get ceremony, man. So that was pretty funny to go through, man. So yeah, I feel the wrath that comes with being a Sooner fan from Texas.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah,
So
for sure.
So once you got to OU and kind of established your, got your footing and your foundation, everything like that, how did you ultimately become a Roughneck?
Yeah, so I moved up here as a transfer student, so I thankfully did not have to live in the dorms because I've heard horror stories about it, man. I'm so blessed to have skipped that part of my life.
They're not fun.
No, they're not. I've heard bad stories. I'm like, dude, this sounds like prison.
Yeah.
So I moved in with my sister and her husband, just to get on my feet. And I remember going to classes, because MCC, there's not more than 1,000 kids there. It's just so you know, coming from a JUCO like that to OU, it's really and truly a culture shock, because I remember my first day on campus, it was like, where do I go from here? I remember driving myself. I parked in the wrong area, of course. I parked in faculty parking, and everybody knows how that. So I mean, I got a $55 ticket my first day, but that was after the fact. I remember walking on campus, and it was just hundreds of kids down the South Oval, like trying to get to where they're going, And I remember asking a few guys, I was like, hey, like, where's Dale Hall at, or where's this hall at? Like, honestly, it was very, very overwhelming for me, And so my first goal, as a transfer student was to make some type of friends or get involved with a club or, group that, has good benefits about it, and just like overall brotherhood and, getting friends, So I checked out the fraternity life. I was like, you know what, like I shouldn't have to pay, thousands of dollars to have friends, that really and truly probably aren't your friends in the end. So that, like, overall, like I was like, yeah, no, it's definitely not gonna be the frat life for me, And my sister at the time, she worked for the spirit department, which the Roughnecks are under, and she knew a couple of guys that were senior members at the time. She, after a while, she said, hey, come talk to these guys. I know, get to know them, get to see what the Roughnecks are about, because at that very moment, I did not know what the Roughnecks were at all. Like they were brought up to me as the guys who shoot the shotguns and ride the schooner. I was like with all due respect, like, what the hell is that? Like, I'm not catching your drift. You know what I'm saying? And so I met Robert Riley and Hayden Shaw, really good guys, and they talked very highly of the Roughnecks, and like it sounded like the guys that I hung out with in high school back in McGregor and Crawford. You know what I'm saying? I was like, you know what, like if this is true, then this is going to be my spot. And so the application process opened for the Roughnecks, and the first thing that you do is like a meet and greet up in the stadium, and so I walked up into the stadium. It was like the third floor, some conference room or whatever, and I'm wearing like a green shirt and some shorts of, like black shorts, whatever. And little did I know that was the class picture that day, and so everyone had like the same damn T-shirt on. So I remember just sitting there, and like all of a sudden I turn around, there's like a horde of kids all matching and shit. I'm like, what's going on here? So like I was really the only kid in that room not wearing crimson or cream or whatever, man. I was like singled out. I was like, oh god, this cannot be good. I think there's like 200 kids in there. I was like so embarrassed. I was like, oh god, yeah, this is probably not good for me. And so they all walked in, they introduced themselves, bunch of great guys that I've had the honor of spending these years with. And so after the meet and greet, it's always what we call the smoker, which is held at somebody's house, and we'll barbecue out and we'll get to kind of talk to each other one-on-one, and I met a couple of my best buddies, Jake Shepard and Carter McAmis there, and like we were actually like good friends before we ever got to the club, and so after the smoker, it's all about, okay, like here's the final application process. Okay, we need a statement of purpose, what you're about. We need your resume. We need 3 to 5 letters of recommendation. And then just like an overall, like pretty simple application, just to apply to it, And so I filled all that out, and me, Jake, and Carter, we were all still hanging out like pretty heavy. And like, it's kind of funny because we made a promise to each other that whoever gets in the club and whoever doesn't can't be friends with each other, because we don't want to like see each other like having fun. Like, we just cut it off right then and there, man. Like Like it was some pretty hardcore stuff, man. Like, you know, I knew that Jake and Carter were going to get in because like they're just those kinds of dudes, you know, like rowdy, outgoing, you know, and me from Waco, Texas, you know, like Jake's from Moore and Bart's from Bigsby. I'm like, yeah, like these dudes are going to get in, but it's always like me, you know. I was like, oh, okay, whatever. And so I remember constantly asking the members, hey, you know, like when are the final applications going to get out? You know, and they're like, you know, just hold on, man. And so like 3 or 4 weeks passed by and they finally, you know, sent out the acceptance letters and I got one, man. I was like, no way. And so really the rest is history from then on, man.
So we've kind of had the opportunity to ask some athletes about what it's like playing in Norman and hearing 80,000 people scream at you. What is it like on the opposite side of hyping up 80,000 people?
You know, man, from the outside looking in, you would think that it's, you know, really easy, you know, to kind of get the, you know, to kind of get the crowd going. But I've had so many occasions where like I'll get up on that wall and start like hyping people up, and I've gotten so many like weird looks. So like, I'm doing a job. All right, you ain't gotta look at me like that, you know. But I mean, you know, going to like volleyball games, going hopefully fixing to go to softball games here pretty soon, but going to basketball games too. You know, like those fans are really, really easy to get hyped up, you know, because like we're not as dominant in those sports as we are like in football, you know what I'm saying? So like, you know, the fans go there to, you know, obviously watch the sports, you know, and again, like those fans are really super easy to hype up, you know, and like we have like actually like pretty personal conversation with some of the fans, but like, you know, when it's football season, it's just like, hey, get out of the way so we can watch the game because, you know, like this is Oklahoma football. You know, we don't have time for the Roughnecks right now, you know what I'm saying? So.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy because you would think that it's like you shoot a shotgun in the air and people just like, yeah, but that's
like I would say over 80% of our fan base loves the hell out of us. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, like older ladies, they can get enough of us. I don't know what it is, man, but they love us, and we all, man, we're like absolutely, man. You know, and like of course, like for the kids and stuff like that, you know, we have some fans that bring their kids dressed up as like, you know, Roughnecks, like they'll get shirts made that have the Roughnecks thing on the back of them, you know, and like the little white jeans, man. Like it's really good feeling to know that we're like changing lives out there without even knowing. So.
Absolutely. So like once you got into doing all that stuff, do you like, is there like a, you know, like with sports and stuff like that, is there like a starting roster, backups, things like that? Like how do you get to, you know, shooting the shotguns, all that stuff? What's that process like once you are accepted, and, you know, kind of how does that all work out?
Yeah. So, you know, once you get accepted to the club, you know, we do hold like gun training meetings at least once to twice a year. You know, so your freshman year, we really want you to focus on, you know, just being a roughneck. You know, like don't worry about the pressure of shooting shotguns or driving a schooner yet. We want you to just get the feeling of what it takes to be a roughneck or a little sis, and we want you to really just embody the Sooner Magic values. You know what I'm saying? Like we want to see that you're able to hype the crowd up and, you know, really be an ambassador of the university. Now when your sophomore year comes up, that's when you're basically eligible to apply to be a driver, and then you'll get trained up on guns and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So what like a kind of a two-part question to that. When did you feel like you first like arrived as a true like roughneck?
Man, like I would say my very first game, you know, because it's one thing to go to any other games or events as Roughneck, but like for me, it hit me right as soon as I ran behind that screen for the very first time at my very first home game. Because like, you know, no one understands like what it feels like to run behind, you know, arguably the greatest tradition in college sports, football, you know, until you do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, because like, you know, running in front of 80,000 plus people screaming is, you know, second to none, man. Like that will change your life. It really will.
And you know, at that moment, they're all looking at you and the schooner. And so it's like no pressure, but if you fall down, if you do something, we're all going to see it. So, you know.
Oh yeah. like my freshman year, it was actually that same game day. It was like the second or third run. One of my buddies Cameron Cranford, he like I was running like pretty close to him, but he hit me in the face with his paddle, busting my lip.
Wow.
Mighty. Like,
yeah.
And like I wanted to fall, but I couldn't, because again, there's 85.
Yeah. Keep on running
in those stands, and there are more eyes on you than you expect, But I know somebody saw it. Somebody had to have seen it because like all I did was come out and just run. Like I was like, oh god, dude, just get back.
So that kind of makes me want to ask you two questions. One, a football question. Well, they're both football questions, but two different types.
Yeah, man.
So when the schooner fell,
I
know for you guys that are doing that all day long, that had to hit you kind of deep, maybe.
Oh, absolutely.
What was y'all's mind? Because I know from a fan perspective, it was like, oh no. So like, what was your guys' mindset when that happened?
Yeah, so like, as I'm a driver, and I've gone through roughly 2 years of training. And to be honest, like we don't ever prepare for something like that because there's just no room for it. You know what I'm saying? And so my freshman year, before I was a driver and that happened, again, it goes from 85,000 screaming fans to absolute silence. Like basically it'd be like me and you having a conversation right here and on the field, like on the 30-yard line when we can hear each other this clear, So our first thing to do was obviously get it off the field because there's a rule that if the schooner's out there on the field for more than 30 seconds, we can get a penalty for it. So that's, in my opinion, that's what was running through my head. Is all right, cool. Let's get up and get off.
Oh yeah,
because that's a possibility. I mean, granted, they would never do that.
Well, touche. In the Orange Bowl, and I think it was like late 70s, something like that. We actually did get a penalty because it got stuck at the Orange Bowl, and so Coach Switzer was not too happy about that. So that has happened once before in Sooner lore. So
absolutely, I think ever since the wreck, I think they'll allow us just a little bit more than 30 seconds to be safe. But yeah, like our first thing was to instantly react and get up off that field, and thankfully we had help from multiple cheer squads that were on the field, and we were able to get it off safely and get the ponies tied up and ready to go. So and like after that, I mean, our mindset was to process it and move forward because accidents do happen, and the last thing we can do is sit down and just have it replayed in our minds. So like, I mean, if you go back and watch the game, we continued to run flags, we ran out on the field, we hype bands up, like we never skipped a beat, and like honestly, it was one of the best things that could have ever happened.
So that you shared the sidelines with them in Lincoln Riley, and I kind of wanted to understand what, from your perspective, and you can go as deep into it as you want to. What was y'all's reaction to kind of how everything played out? Because you've maybe talked to them, you've seen them, you've shared the stadium with them. So kind of talk about what that whole scenario in your head and what your mindset was of it.
Lincoln Riley, it's funny that you say that because he never really acknowledged us, and that kind of struck a bone with us, because I'm not saying we're as popular as the football team, but we've been around.
It's a big deal.
Absolutely. Yeah. We've been around for 107 years now. Like we're literally the oldest male spirit squad in the nation, second oldest in the world. You would think you would like pat us on the back or at least So in my personal opinion, when Lincoln left, I believe that the club was like, okay, like what's next, because the way I look at it, from his first year to the last year, like my opinion, we kind of progressively got worse, at something, and so honestly, I will say that we weren't really surprised, but we were more anxious about who was going to step up next, and of course, I think I can speak on everybody's behalf that we're lucky to have Venables here.
I think we got our guy. That was the consistent theme around Sooner Nation, and now we see the what it can be and everything like that. So what has been your coolest moment as a Roughneck?
Coolest moment, definitely when I got to take my first drive on the field, because last year, me and Brendan Reeman, we are we were training to be drivers. And during that year, that's when we were also training alongside Darby Dean and Sarah Wheelis as the first females to ever drive the schooner, and like, we were battling controversies from that.
Wow. So that was the first time a female had drove?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I didn't know that.
Dean at Bedlam. First
wow.
ever, man. And so, I think that class of drivers, especially going through that with them, is like, not only after a year that the schooner flipped, with Jared Bush, he was having to retrain with us. So like we were all, just going through it together. And, I may be biased, but in my opinion, like us five will probably be the best drivers you'll ever see, come through because of like all the adversity that we had to go through and all the training that we had to go through, because I want to say roughly before the schooner flip, I mean, it probably took a couple months, to train and be a driver. But ever since that's happened, we start in the summer and we go. I mean, even after the season, we're still training. Nothing ever stops. We're always training.
Yeah.
And so.
Do you guys have a spot where you guys like train? And I know like football has their practice fields and all that stuff. Where do you guys go? And are you just randomly just running down Lindsay with the schooner, or what? What's going on?
Yeah, man. So I want to say like roughly probably like a third of the time we're at the Grolls farm here in Norman. That's where we kind of break it down into the basics, like working with reins, working with one pony at a time. And so once we're capable enough of being able to work with two ponies at a time, that's when we kind of transferred over to, doing Lindsay strip drives or driving around town, just like random spots. I mean, it's kind of hectic,
yeah.
And then we'll go onto the field for actual practice runs. So
yeah. Have you ever gotten pulled over in the schooner?
Man, no, but I've gotten some dirt road. Leave us alone. It's like believe it or not, there's people in Norman that have no idea who we are or what we do.
That's crazy. I mean, I don't, and I, as much as I love football, I can't think of a football game or anything without the Roughnecks. Like that's all I've known as a kid and growing up. That's part of football.
Well,
like I used to work at Walmart here in Norman, and I'd have like this shirt on or whatever, just. And I'd see other fans walking through. I'm like, hey, have you ever heard the Roughnecks? Because I'm a Roughneck. Like, oh, cool. Where you work at? Like, cool. I'm like, not a real Tuner fan.
No, a Roughneck.
Yeah. Well, that's my thing is that like one of my traditions is for every touchdown. I mean, if y'all ever see me in a game, look at me in the stands. Every single touchdown we score, I'll time it. And as soon as the shotgun goes, I do that. And so that's been my tradition since I was like 6 years old. So it's like in my head, I don't know how anybody can grow up a Sooner fan and not know what the Roughnecks are. Like, I don't understand.
Because some of the guys in our club have pictures of like with the Roughnecks.
Yeah.
And like it's super cool to see, but like especially like from guys like me that grew up in Central Texas, Waco, Texas, that really had no idea who they were, but like end up being one and like embodying what it takes to be a Roughneck.
Yeah, guys, I always forget because I go to games and I think nothing of the guns going off after a field goal or a touchdown or anything. And I took a friend of mine a couple years ago, and he's an Arkansas Razorback fan, and I didn't realize it, and I forgot to warn him before the game, and the guns are going off, and he gets scared, and he like jumps, and I was like, oh, dude, I freaking forgot. I'm sorry. Like, it's just been ingrained in me that like it's no big deal, but to other people, it's like, what the heck are y'all doing firing guns around?
Like I grew up shooting shotguns. I'm a hunter, outdoorsman, this and that. But no one understands like what a single 12 gauge round of gunpowder can really do. Because here, right before we train for the gun training, we do it at OUPD right off of Highway 9. And the first thing that the PD guys do is like they'll load it and they'll shoot a cardboard target, like probably not even 2 or 3 gives it all away. I'm like, oh God, like it makes you nervous to handle it because all it takes is one wrong move and someone's gone. Well,
it's like a couple years ago when we handed the gun to Lee Corso. I was like, watch out. at the OU Texas game.
Like even this year or this past year, Jake, he handed the gun to Switzer. And I was like, okay, but I'm not saying he's weak. I'm not gonna say that, but he's older. I get it, but he shoots it and he's like, I'm like, oh God, here we go. Here we go.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of the OU Texas game, man, you got to break it down. How is it?
Oh, dude. So this past OU Texas was actually my year to be on the field as a driver. So, I mean, first and foremost, I'm blessed, because in my opinion, that'll be the pinnacle or climax of your Roughneck career because, you grow up in the club just absolutely hating Texas,
Mm-hmm.
I hated them at first, but now I hate them,
Yeah.
And so, first 3 minutes of the game, man, it's 21-7. I'm like, oh God, Spencer, dude, stop, man. Spencer wasn't doing very good at the moment. And obviously, the first 2 or 3 minutes, it just went downhill quick, and so, but, I'm blessed to be with some guys that, always stay optimistic, so I think after a few minutes or right after the first quarter ended, we all came together hey, no matter what happens, we're here with the university. And we're going to continue to cheer on no matter what that scoreboard says, So we really brought it in with each other, and kept that momentum, And so obviously as the game went on, Caleb came in and balled out. I mean, honestly, probably the best game I've ever seen him play.
Oh yeah.
So and that comeback, man, it was, I can't top that as a Roughneck.
Yeah, that's gonna be a hard one to yeah.
So I want to ask you about one touchdown in particular.
Yeah.
Kennedy Brooks takes it. We're going for a field goal. He takes it in for a touchdown. Game practically over. I mean, your mindset. I mean, that stadium had to be going nuts. And I've been blessed to. I made a good 6 OU Texas games in a row, and I chose that this previous year to not go. So I'm kind of mad at myself, but I didn't get to go this one. So
really that whole fourth quarter, man. I remember standing on top of the box where I sit, and I'm not supposed to do that. But I was like, you know what? I don't care. You can kick me out. I'm fine with that. I don't care.
Yeah.
And so
I'm locked in.
And I'm honestly, I was holding the reins, but I forgot the ponies were even there. I'm like, dude, they could have ran off. I wouldn't have done anything about it. I was like, let's go, man, let's go. I remember losing my boys. I was like, oh my God, this does not get any better. That's rough. Nah.
So John, I got to ask you, man. We try to throw in a fun question. What's your favorite food?
Favorite food? Man.
Bevo.
That that's number one. But if I had to go for the close second, man, I've really gotten into mozzarella sticks for no damn reason.
All right.
Especially the ones from BJ's, oh my God, dude.
Yeah.
Honestly, some nights I'll pull up there and just get mozzarella sticks and eat them. I don't.
That's probably the most unique answer we've had so far on that question. So you're probably definitely winning right now. That's a good one.
Every Sunday you'll see me posting about Sam's buying a 50-pack or 100 pack of farm.
Now I'm craving some mozzarella sticks now.
I will smack on them.
What's funny is that there's been way too many times I'll call my girlfriend and be like, hey, more in Buffalo Wild Wings. And it's just okay, all I ordered was mozzarella sticks and macaroni and cheese. And she's like, what? And I'm like, hey.
That's good stuff.
Especially the ones from Sonic, dude. Oh my God.
Yes.
Yeah.
Talk to me.
Yeah. They just come out hot and they're ready to. I mean, I'm just yeah, I'm gonna go.
Mozzarella sticks could talk. All they would say is, I'm upstairs on the winners bracket all the time.
Number 1 seed.
It don't matter.
Yeah.
Matter.
Well, John, we really appreciate you for coming on, man. If you ever want to bring any of your other fellow club members, for sure, we'll always have you on. You're always welcome. And if you ever want to come on mid-season, whatever, by all means, hit us up.
Hey, and if you ever want us to come and take a ride on that schooner, I think we'll take you up on it. I mean, just,
I think the next podcast we do, man, I personally think we should do it on the schooner.
I'm game.
Do we a spring game? Who knows?
Hey, we'll be there.
Let's go.
Hey, just name a time and place, man. I'll pull up.
For sure.
All right.
Well, John, we really appreciate you for coming on, man.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it, man.
For sure. That's been everything for the AnythingOU Podcast and the Chris and Drew Show. We really appreciate you for stopping by and hope you enjoyed that video with John Carter. There's a lot of cool stuff that we got to get behind the scenes of and kind of talk about that most people don't get to. So hope you guys enjoyed. As always, I'm your host, Christian Williams. I got my co-host, Drew England. Drew, you got anything you want to leave the people with, man?
Hey, as always, thank you guys so much for the support, for the likes, for the follows, for just, leaving us comments, letting us know that you love what we're putting out. Hey, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button on the YouTube channel, bell for notifications. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff, and stay tuned for new content each and every week, man. We love it.
Yes, sir. Hey, a lot of good stuff happening. Drew, come on, hit us with it.
Hey, Boomer.
Sooner.